Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back for another week of the Checkerboard Chat. I am Alex, and I'm with co-host and producer. Did y'all catch that?
Co-host and producer.
Yeah. Chase and Bryce. So, fellas, good to be back for another one.
I'm back, baby. Back. Another week.
Hey, you did so good the first time we had to bring you in.
That's right. There we go. We bringing a new face on board to kind of help manage the computer side of things and just basically produce and jump in with us. So we're happy to have him on.
Yeah, we are. We are.
Speaking of happy, I'm happy. Have you been on Twitter at all and seen the light show that people were posting
the
above
drones?
Yes,
that's nasty.
It's
that is
unreal.
going to be sick. Absolutely.
I think with the chance that it will go on and stuff, and it's all gonna play out perfectly. And
Absolutely. You figure that? I mean, well, I think I seen it on Twitter. Somebody was like, "Man, just imagine. You got Florida 7:30 game. It's a night game. That's going to be perfect. If they break it out, that's going to be perfect."
So this could just be me not paying attention to other programs, but wouldn't we be the first to do this? Like, I've not seen anybody else unveil a drone show.
yeah,
I'm like you. I'm not a national sports writer, but I'm not an idiot either. No, I haven't seen this anywhere.
So like back when, I don't know who started it, but I noticed Alabama was one of the first ones doing it. Was the strobe lighting on
Yes,
night
the
games
night
when you
light
scored.
show.
So and then everybody started doing it. So is this something that people are going to jump on the bandwagon and start doing, or?
Oh, absolutely. Also, today, actually, I seen a video somewhere. LSU is apparently installed strobe and doing, for night games, doing the yellow, purple
I
lights.
think it's electric.
Everybody's kind of going to that now. But that's what people want. We're wanting atmospheres.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Neyland brings one of the best.
Anything to pump up those fans.
Absolutely.
Not that Neyland needs help with that, but
No.
Well, another thing about the atmosphere, with everything they're doing around the stadium, it's going to be hard for a recruit to come in and say, I don't want to be here.
This place ain't for me.
Yeah,
it's just not for me.
It's going to
wait
be
till they get that entertainment district done too. On top of what G10,
that's stupid wild.
Thank you to the pilot for that, by the way.
Yeah. Appreciate Haslam,
because they're gonna fund. Well, yeah, used to be Haslam. They're gonna fund a whole bunch of that,
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the growth that's coming. Take the last 20 years and then take the last 5. I feel like the university itself has done more growing in the last 5 years than it has the previous 20.
Danny White, Donde Plowman.
I mean,
need I say any more?
No,
Randy Boyd funding
the
majority of it.
It's everything's on the up and up and looking good. So we're definitely excited about this season. So why don't we go ahead and jump straight into the actual meat and potatoes of it? We got some fun stuff over to get down to business. Which one you want to open with? It's all you. I'm gonna let you lead right here.
Let's pick it. Let's jump in because we do all plan to give a season prediction and we'll go through game by game wins and losses. But before we get to that, let's just throw out a floor and ceiling for this team. I know it's been you hear people talk about it on the radio. What is Tennessee's floor? Well, what is their ceiling? Let's hear it. What do you think, Alex?
For this season, I would say your ceiling, I think you would have a hard. Well, obviously, this is going to be. You could win 11 games. I mean, it's very difficult.
That's a good That's a good definition of ceiling, is what you could possibly do.
That you could possibly win. There's one hard L that I have, possibly one more. I would say 11 is my absolute ceiling. 10s, I'm comfortable.
Okay. What about you, Bryce?
Yep.
What you got as your ceiling?
I got to go with 11 too.
Okay.
There's a couple toss-ups in there, but there's always that one definite that you always look at on the schedule, and you're like, it's got to be that.
So here's my thing with it. If I go and look at Tennessee's schedule, of course I've got it right here in front of me. I see 2 games that you are just talent top to bottom that you're not going to be more talented than. And that's going to be Week 7 Alabama and Week 11 Georgia. Other than those 2 games, you should have the talent edge on, I think, everybody on your schedule.
Yeah.
they're going to try and hype Oklahoma up.
They are.
I don't know, going down their roster what they have.
It's going to be questionable as to how
They've
Jackson
already
Arnold.
started the Arnold Love Fest.
Yeah,
so.
it's going to be
Yeah.
questionable because I've heard reports from their fall camp that he's a turnover machine. So unless he gets it together, I don't see them being able to hype him
Right.
up a lot. Of course, we'll see a lot in the first 3 weeks of their schedule, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. But I think my ceiling is 11 as well.
So we have. I'm gonna officially take 10. That way we're not 11 across the board. 'Cause
Okay.
I'm a whole lot more comfortable with 10 than 11. So
Okay.
I'll take 10.
What about the floor? This is a healthy Tennessee Vols team.
A healthy Tennessee
Yeah,
Vols team.
yes.
I'm gonna say my floor. I'm gonna say your floor is 8-4.
Okay.
I've got a possibility of NC State, Oklahoma, Bama, and Georgia. Oklahoma, I think, has more of a chance than NC State. I just don't know enough about NC State. ESPN likes NC State, but I just don't know what that's going to look like.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that, but I feel like the floor, like last year, I feel like the floor should be 9. There should be that one game that we go into that we're not supposed to win that we do win.
Yep, I love that.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean,
That makes you feel good, don't it?
Yeah, you have your granted. You have Chattanooga, Kent State,
yeah.
Arkansas. I think we mopped the floor with Arkansas.
I think so.
It could get
Florida's
nasty.
coming into Neyland. We take that out. It's just I think there's that toss up game that they're not going to expect Tennessee to come in and win. So
Fair enough. I like
So
it. What do you think?
the listeners can tell you, and Alex can tell you, I'm usually the roses guy. I'm normally the one thinking that we got a shot to win every game, and we do this year. We do have a shot to win every game. But I'm gonna throw a curveball at you, and I'm gonna say the floor is 7-5. That's the floor.
Okay. That's okay.
Because you, the way I see that is you think of neutral site, and I'm going to give you these 5 opponents. Neutral site, are we going to be favored in any of these games by more than 1 touchdown? NC State, Oklahoma,
Probably not. Definitely not.
Florida,
Maybe.
Alabama.
Depend on where they're at in week 6.
yeah,
Okay, NC State, Oklahoma, Florida, Alabama, Kentucky, and Georgia.
Yeah, you're right.
So those are all 5 games that we could lose, worst case scenario. Now that would be terrible. That would be awful. But
Oh my goodness.
But for the sake of this exercise that we're doing right here, those are 5 games that, of course, I don't think we're going to, but those are all
It's
possibilities.
certain possibility. Okay.
Not to put a downer on everyone. I'm just
not to dampen the mood or anything, but hey, you know what? The honest, scary part is we're 1 injury away from that. I mean, you take away a key player and it could go to heck in a handbasket.
And that's why I said when we're giving our predictions of floor and ceiling, a healthy Vols team, because this next thing I want to talk about is which position group would it be absolutely detrimental to if we lost a starter in that position?
Oh my goodness.
Not named James Pierce Jr. because of course
that's going
to be huge.
I think because of the depth situation as it is, I think it's either got to be. Well, I'll stick with 1. I'm going to say defensive back.
Okay.
Whole unit.
We lost from last season.
Lost 1.
Well, yeah, but from last season's team, we have little to none playing experience coming back. So
and you've already lost 1.
Yeah.
Because now Boo's starting to get more into rotation because of the injury what was his name?
Jordan Thomas.
Jordan Thomas.
Yeah, it'll be Christian Harrison probably on the field first, but I don't know. I think if you were to ask Heupel and the staff, they're not going to say one of those is a starter and the other is a starter. I think one of them is obviously going to take the first rep, but I don't know that they get a quote unquote starter role. I think it'll be split 50-50 until Boo figures it out because he's got the intangibles. I think he's lightning in a bottle. I think he'll figure it out.
In the last
But
week,
right now he
the
just doesn't know where to
University of
be.
Tennessee football team has posted a Boo Carter post like 3 or 4 times with
He's gonna
like
be
amazing
crazy.
catches or crazy
Yeah.
speed or something. Here's my hot take. They know Boo Carter's better. They're going to put that kid on the starting line. 1, to help Boo get some more reps and just general knowledge as time goes on. And 2, that way Boo can step in and say, I took this job over. It wasn't given to me because I was a 5-star. I had to earn this.
So I heard a report, and I don't know if it was a report, but it was them saying Christian Harrison is a guy you can trust because he knows where to be.
Mm-hmm.
He's not more athletic than Boo. Boo has obviously the more physical skill set to play the position. But the problem during scrimmages and live action play was Boo Carter found himself out of position a lot. And that's just because he didn't
trying to make a play.
Yeah, he just didn't. And that's something that he'll figure out. But
Yeah.
he found himself out of position a lot. Like, oh crap, I probably could have been able to make that tackle if I was where Christian Harrison would have been.
And here's the Christian Harrison's he's a serviceable player.
Yeah,
at that spot.
he's going to be good.
Eventually, he will be overtaken by Boo if he can get the plays and stuff on not the physical aspect of the game. If he can get the other parts down, he'll take over pretty quickly.
Yes.
What, Bryce? What do you say would be your position of cannot have an injury here? Absolutely no.
I do think like the DB thing is going to be detrimental, like you said. But in years past, we've had detrimental people out there, and we've still made it through.
That's true.
Fair enough.
I think our big detrimental is our D line. If we lose Big O or we lose what's his name? Huge dude.
Elijah Simmons.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, if we lose one of those, they're just going to pick on that side. You're going to have to move James Pierce over to kind of fill in that gap a little bit. So I think if we lose one of our big fellas on the D line, it's going to be a struggle for us to make that penetration to get back there.
Yeah, that's.
And you got Dominic Bailey too. You know,
yeah.
You lose him. Even your secondary may be serviceable. He's not Dominic Bailey.
Yeah.
Chase, what do you say?
Mine's going to be the left guard position.
Oh, you went specific.
Yeah.
Specific at left guard.
Down and dirty.
Yeah.
That was my second option was the O-line unit. But
yeah, as a unit, O-line, because we've got a solidified 4 guys that have played a lot of football in the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah.
The left guard is the only one that hasn't. And I think we have a pretty good 2-man rotation there right now. They haven't really decided who they're going to go with in that spot. But I think if we were to lose 1 or 2 of those guys, we're in trouble.
Well, and, it seems to be that's the one that gets hit the hardest because, when you have a cloud and they hit together, you usually have a storm. When you put a big heavy across from a big heavy and they collide at every play, you're going to end up with somebody hurt eventually.
That's true.
It is what it is. Them boys get down in the trenches.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But the way I phrased this question was, which position could you lose a player and it would affect your season prediction by 1 win or 1 loss?
Singular player, I would have to go with
Cooper Mays, probably. We saw that happen at the Florida game last year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think he played a big part in us in our early offensive struggles.
Because we even talked about that on the podcast that, if he did come back, we thought we were okay, but if he came back, it was just even more security for us. But the way the Florida team was looking, we thought we could be able to skirt by and give him another week of rest. And
Yeah.
Florida put it on us.
Yeah, unfortunately. There we go with that. So what, Bryce, do you have a specific player in general that you would ping? Like obviously, you get into those. Your running back or your quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, there's always those givens.
Bring me some G-Man, some George Mack.
I kind of feel like if Brew goes down,
you don't like him?
No, I do like him.
There you go.
I'm just saying, like, if he goes down again, you lose that senior player that kind of knows what he's doing.
Big voice in the locker room too.
Yeah. So I mean,
That's a good point.
he's coming off a year of being injured, so he wants to make an impact, and those guys are going to try and follow after him.
Right.
He's got that experience. I mean, you could also say Cooper Mays.
So, what do you think? Now that the conferences have totally shifted, do you think it's harder for more SEC schools to get in now that the SEC is a tougher conference, or do you think it becomes easier? I mean, don't get me wrong, it will be easier because more teams are going to get in by default, but do you think it makes it tougher for the top guys?
I feel like the committee is going to feel obligated to give other teams an opportunity. Now, they're obviously not going to shove out one of the top teams because there's a specific system for how these teams get picked, right?
Yeah.
There's like conference champions or auto bids.
Yep.
Or is that a thing?
Yeah, your top 4 seeds are going to be your conference champions from the SEC, ACC, Big 12, and Big 10.
And then a group
no
of
specific
5.
order.
Right. I don't know, man. That's a tough question. What do you think?
I think it's going to be harder for a 9-3 team from the SEC to get in because SEC schools are just going to beat up on each other.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But on the flip side, a 9-3 SEC school is going to get in over a 9-3 ACC or Big 12 school. If it came down to that,
Right.
There's going to be 1 or 2 teams that are 9-3 that make it. There just is. I think so. I think strength of schedule is going to come in a long way here. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Do you feel like the expansion of the SEC will help us? I mean, because if you look at it, the last, just say 5 years, you have a lot of SEC teams that are in here now with Texas and Oklahoma.
I think it'll help because we've never got more than 2 teams in a 14 playoff. I mean, there's 4 spots and 2 get in.
Right.
I mean, we got 12 spots, not 6. 6 ain't going to get in, so you're going to lose half. It's not going to be half anymore. I think we could get realistically 4, maybe 5 SEC teams in. I think 4 is probably my number.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I see 4 at the minimum.
Yeah, I think just 4.
Plain and simple. I mean, you can't sit here and tell me that the 4 best SEC teams can't match up with any other team because you have college football.
You have 5 auto bids, so that only leaves 7. Right, if my math's correct, that only leaves 7 at-large bids.
Mm-hmm.
You got your 4 Power 4 champions and then a group of 5, the highest ranked group of 5 team, which will probably be like Boise State or Liberty, who went 13-0 last year. Liberty would have been in if we were in this last year.
That's a good point. I mean, like you said, Bryce, you look at the AP Top 25 at the end of the season any given year, and it's the top 10's littered with ACC teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially now looking at the expansion. I mean, what I see end up playing out over the next course of however long they do the 12-team playoff is a guaranteed 4 SEC teams and a guaranteed 4 Big Ten teams. You may have that down year of Big Ten team and it may drop off to 3.
Right.
But then the playoff committee is going to look at it and like, is it going to be a competitive playoff or is it just going to be another, TCU gets in there and gets pummeled?
Mollywopped.
Yeah.
So last year you had, what was it? The number one team in the final ranking was Michigan. They won the Big Ten, so there's your first auto bid. Mm-hmm. Your number 2 team was Washington, and that was the
Pac-12
at the time. Pac-12. So that was your auto bid, and then you had number 3 was Texas. They won the Big 12, so that was your auto bid, and then let's say Bama won the SEC, so there was your 4th auto bid. And your best at-large team was Liberty, who was ranked number 23. So that's your 5th auto bid. So your 5 seed would be Florida State. Then you've got Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Missouri, Penn State, and then you have to throw Liberty at the 12th spot based off last year's rankings.
Yeah. So does the group of 5 just automatically get that 12th spot, or is it just reshuffled after the selection committee?
If they're ranked lower than 12. Like Liberty was the best group of 5 team, and they were ranked 23.
23.
So they're not going to throw them at the 5 seed because they're so low.
Right.
Like if they're ranked 8 at the end of the year, which I doubt it, but if they're ranked that high, they'll give them that spot.
So I thought they were doing your Power 4 got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then your group of 5 champ got number 5.
No. Your group of 5 will get where they're ranked or 12. Whichever's higher, I guess.
It makes sense, though.
So if this format
basically gives your number 1 seed a bye.
Yeah, if this format was like this last year, your SEC schools are Texas 1, Bama 2, Georgia 3, Missouri 4, Ole Miss 5. So Ole Miss is number 11 in the CFP, and your 12th spot was Oklahoma, finished the season ranked number 12, and Liberty was 23, so they would have flipped with Oklahoma. They would have taken that spot from him.
Fair enough.
Food for thought.
They may as well just bank on, because I don't see a group of 5 ever climbing higher than 12.
No. I think whoever finishes 12 is just out of luck. Sorry.
Coast.
Yeah.
I just don't see a year where you get a group of 5. I mean, UCF played and even beat Auburn in their bowl game and didn't climb into the top 12.
Yeah, I mean Liberty Liberty played a perfect season last
13
year.
13-0, yeah, didn't climb. So
number 23 is the best they got.
Sit real heavy in the number 12 spot.
Yep. And I guess that number 12 would play number 5, right? Because 1, 2, 3, and 4 get a bye.
Yeah, in the first round.
So you're saying 5 and 12 would play?
Yeah, 5 and 12 would be your first playoff round. So last year that would have been, Florida State because they got hosed. But last year that would have been Liberty playing at Florida State.
Yep.
That would have been an absolute slaughterhouse.
Probably, but it's cool to think about.
Well.
I was thinking, I guess whoever draws the 5 spot, at that point, I guess you're just chomping at the bit because you get number 12. And
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so you had Liberty 23, but right behind them, number 24 was SMU. So that, I mean, if Liberty were to slip up, SMU would have been that spot.
Yeah.
I think this year your top projected guys are Liberty again with the best odds, and tied with them is Boise State.
I've seen a lot of Boise State, and then Jamie, you got was it first year Jamie Chadwell at Liberty? Yeah, because Hugh Freeze went to Auburn. So, new coach. I think they retained a whole lot of their players, though.
Yeah.
Like Caden Salter's still there, I think, right?
Yes.
So, that's a familiar name.
So, the 11 seed last year would have been Ole Miss playing the 6 seed, which was Georgia. So, that would have been a fun one. Ole Miss playing at Georgia. Your 10 and 7 would have been Penn State playing at Ohio State. I think they played last year probably, so it would have been a rematch. I think Ole Miss played Georgia last year too, didn't they?
Yeah, it just sounds like a bunch of rematches.
Yeah. Your 9-8 would have been Missouri playing at Oregon.
It would have been different.
Yeah.
My question is, you think these are going to be played at neutral sites? You think it's going to be played?
No, it's
bowl games, right?
For the first round, it's the higher seed hosts.
First round is home game. That's why they were saying, like, if you land number 5 or 6, I mean, you could be having like somebody like Oregon or Ohio State or whoever coming to Neyland to play a playoff.
If you're 5, 6, 7, or 8, you're hosting first round of playoffs.
I mean, you talk about an atmosphere.
Could you imagine Neyland and
Notre Dame,
Oregon
Ohio
comes
State,
to town,
Oregon, Florida State?
Honestly, I feel like the 5 seed is the place to be.
Yeah, 5 seed with Liberty coming into town. Yeah,
you got your top 4. Obviously, get there. They don't even have to play. You get your bye week, but if you got to pick a spot, number 5 don't sound too bad.
Well, and if you're the 5 seed, if you make it through the 12 seed, you play at one of the bowl games, the Peach Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, whatever it is, against the 4 seed, so you automatically get the worst of the auto bids.
Yeah. 5's a pretty decent little spot to
So
land.
Florida State would have played Liberty, and if they beat that one, they would have played Alabama neutral site.
Fair enough.
It'll be interesting. That's for
Yeah.
sure. I'm
I love
excited.
it. I'm
to
so
see it.
excited for it.
I
man.
know. Me too.
Goodness.
I think 12-team playoff. I mean, it's more football. I mean, who's going to complain about more football?
Yeah.
You would be surprised, honestly.
That's true.
Well,
my wife would probably complain about more football.
I was going to say.
I'm not going to complain about more football.
Speaking of that, did y'all see that video of I can't even remember what, but they were talking about weddings.
Yes.
Weddings on Saturdays.
Video.
Call me, don't text me.
Crazy.
I would politely tell you.
That was even Big T and Arian Foster.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
I will
Very
not.
crude, but hilarious.
I will not be participating.
He said, "If you don't believe me, I'll call my sister, and she will tell you I would not go to her wedding."
You need to tell me you would be sitting on the couch and miss your sister's wedding.
He said, "First off,
yes.
October 12th is Tennessee, Florida."
Yes, I will not be there.
I could make the argument she doesn't love me.
All right, so we'll get back into the playoff talk here in just a few minutes because I think we're going to end this episode off talking about who we expect to be in the playoff. Just a little rough guess. We're not going to nail it down or anything, but before we get to that, let's just go through Tennessee's schedule kind of quick. We don't have to go in depth about every team, but let's just go give wins and losses. And if you want to, you could throw a spread in there if you're feeling confident about it.
Okay.
So week 1, Chattanooga home.
Win.
W,
Win.
no doubt.
Spread 34.5.
Me and Scott at work talked about this the other day, and we actually came up with 35 as a good number. That's Nico's getting enough good healthy reps at that point. That's where you should end up. Hopefully, you're ending up somewhere around halftime right there, and you can bounce him out after half and just get some other young guys some work.
Yeah. So I saw, and I think it was Oklahoma's week 1 game. I don't remember who it was against, but their week 1 game, I think their opening spread's 42.5.
Whew.
Yikes.
So you could see Tennessee Chattanooga open up somewhere close to that 40 number.
Yeah.
But that's, we'll see. All right, week 2, NC State, neutral site, night game.
I have this down as a win.
I've got
this
a win.
is one of those. I'm not sure, what they have, what they don't have, what their roster looks like. I know ESPN's pretty fond of them.
They're supposed to be defensive. Pretty good defensive team.
So was Iowa, and we torched them.
That is true. They're supposed to be a pretty good defensive team with an electric quarterback. So
fair enough.
They got Grayson McCall now, don't they?
They do.
Boy, he's about to get a rude awakening what the SEC is.
James Pierce Jr. is about to be on his butt.
Oh, yeah.
They go first name basis.
I'm going to go Dub.
W on that.
I'm going Dub.
Dub, Bryce, Dub. Okay.
Any spread guesses?
That NC State, I'm going to call. I'm going to say
7.5.
I was going to go 10.5.
Okay.
I'm going to go 6.5 on that. I think
Okay.
it's going to be a really good game.
I think it'll be a pretty good game too. I think it'll start as a really good game. I do think we run away with it.
I think you'll see the spread. I think it in between 7 and 10.5. I would see that anywhere in between there. Yes.
Home game, Kent State.
Win.
Win by a lot.
I don't know anything about
I think I see this one opening up around 28, probably.
I was going to say probably 30.
Maybe in the 30s. Depends on how we look week 1 and 2, obviously. But yeah, win for everybody. Yep. Week 4, Oklahoma at Norman.
It's a win.
Okay.
I'm going W because I think the hype around returning back to Oklahoma, I think they're going to be all about Oklahoma, and he's going to show up and show out there.
Okay.
I just think Oklahoma's going to find out, like Bryce said, what SEC defense looks like. Week 4, they really ain't got a whole lot, in front of them before us. We're going to be there. Who do they have a big game before us? Or are we their big test too? Really up front.
I think we are their big test.
So I just don't. I don't see them being prepared. This is your first season in a brand new conference. If this is your first SEC game, I say we line them up, and I say it's not going. We ain't gonna blow them out. I have this at 3.5.
Opening,
I agree
or you
with
think
that.
we win by 3.5?
No, I think that's where we finish.
Oh, okay. See, I think this opens as a push. I think
Okay.
this will be an even odds game because I think if this is a neutral site, Tennessee's favored by 3.5. I think I see that, but at their place, I think it pulls it back to an even match. I am going to give us a W as well.
Perfect.
Then we travel to Arkansas, Fayetteville, Arkansas, October 5th.
I'm giving myself or the team a dub there just because he may not make it all the way through the season.
I don't think he makes it through the season. I don't think he makes it very much further past this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. If we torch him and embarrass them, he may not make it out of there.
So I don't know exactly what their schedule is. I'm looking real quick because I want to see when their bye week is.
Oklahoma?
Their bye week is after Arkansas. Arkansas's bye week is after us. I would not be surprised if they fire him after they play Tennessee.
Probably.
Where'd KJ Jefferson go?
UCF.
That's
interesting.
That's not a bad little spot.
No,
but
Gus.
He carried that team though.
No doubt. Definitely. So
on his back, struggling.
If you look at coaches that get fired mid-season, an overwhelming majority of them get fired in a bye week.
I did not know that.
Overwhelming majority of them get fired in bye weeks. So
for the ones that get fired during season,
yeah, I would not be surprised at all if he's fired after the Tennessee football game.
Or they up and leave overnight to USC.
yeah. Let's not talk about that.
No. Ugh.
I think we've all got W's for that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Then Florida comes to town. Checker Neyland, October 12th.
Don't make plans.
Don't make plans. We have plans, but don't make plans.
That's a dub.
I'm going W2. Night game, Neyland. Like you said, Checker Neyland. Drones, atmosphere. They're going to come in and struggle.
They don't get by with it twice. We should have beat them last year. There was no reason walking into there. Everybody was fairly confident this was the year we were going to win in the swamp. Didn't happen. You ain't getting by with it twice. Week 6, 7, the way that I've heard these people talk, I don't even know if Billy Napier's going to be the coach of Florida by the time he comes to Neyland. So
true,
back to back.
I see W.
Okay, dub. That's 3.
We got away from the spread. What do you think the spread is on this one or the Arkansas one?
Arkansas, I see us winning by 17.
Okay, I had it at 21. So
yeah.
And the only reason I'm saying that is because if the same teams showed up that we had last year, we struggle on the road. The Florida game, I'm going to say, to me, it just depends on if he's coach or not. Because if he's coach and you have a flood of transfers, who knows what the roster is even going to look like when they come up.
I think he's still hanging around by week 6.
Yeah.
I would say 10.
Okay.
You think he's hanging around just to see if he could beat Tennessee and then he keeps his job?
I think that's what kept him his job last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
it's the Tennessee win. I think that's why he's still here. They're still in Gainesville.
Just a prayer and a Hail Mary
there.
Yep.
I see it at 12.5.
Okay.
All right, Alabama comes to town.
I have this as a loss.
Okay.
This one's tough for me.
It's not tough for me. Dixieland Delight, baby. We're smoking. The Tide's rolling back to Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I want to give us the W, but honestly, I'm going to have to go with an L on that one.
So here's my thing when I think about this team and the schedule. I've got us as a W versus Alabama, but I also have us at 10-2. That's foreshadowing for. I know I've picked wins for all these before this. I cannot pinpoint where that second loss is going to be. I can't do it. But I think there's going to be 2 losses because we're going to lose one that we're not supposed to. And I think it's going to be one of those games I've already marked us down as a W for. So I'm not foreshadowing to Kentucky. I'm not. I think it's going to be one of those teams. I just can't choose. I can't tell you which one it is. Is it going to be NC State early because Nico's not figured it out yet? I don't know. Is it going to be Oklahoma because the environment's going to be tough? I don't know. But it's going to be one of those first NC State, Oklahoma, or Florida. I don't know which one, but it's going to be one of those. And that's my hot take prediction.
That's fair.
But we beat Alabama at home.
Okay, we got LWL on that one. 2 L's, 1 win. Got a bye week 8. Next week is a
dub.
No.
We win that one. Tennessee wins that week.
Never lose a bye week. Bye week champions.
Sound like a Butchism.
It probably is.
Is that something he said?
I've honestly tried to shovel all that out of my memory.
Me
just
too.
to be honest with you,
Brick by
pretty
brick.
awful.
Brick by brick. All right,
so week 9.
Kentucky comes to town, November 2nd, night game. Probably going to be wearing the dark mode. I don't know that for a fact, but probably going to be dark mode.
I have this as a win. It's a night game in Neyland. Everybody hates Kentucky. I don't see why. And who's their quarterback? He's supposed to be the
Brock
he's
Vandagriff.
he's from Georgia.
From
correct?
Georgia, yep. I see this as a win. Ain't nobody but we ain't worried about them coal miners from up north. I promise you, it's a win.
It's another typical Stoops team, so
Yeah.
I mean, it's a W for
Listen,
me.
That's fair.
I went back this past week and the week before, and I was watching full games. I watched 2 games. One of them was the Kentucky game from last season, and the other one was the Vanderbilt game from last season. I've got something to say about Vanderbilt when we get there, but Kentucky, they showed a stat on that game that was time on the clock between plays. And Tennessee was the fastest team to snap the ball each play.
Yeah.
And Kentucky was the slowest in the country. It's like you said, it's Mark Stoops' brand of football. They're going to bleed the clock. They're going to control the pace. They're going to try to control the pace.
Was it last year or the year before last? But like the time of possession was like Tennessee was like 4 minutes, and they were like 20-something minutes.
I think that was the year before last that it was that lopsided, because last year it was actually a semi-close game.
Yeah.
But the year before that was the year that we absolutely smoked them.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I remember seeing like the time of possession was just so lopsided, and they were still mopped the floor with them.
Yeah, that's just something Kentucky does. They're going to hold on to the ball. They're going to make the time of possession heavily in their favor.
It's hard to get beat by 50 if you don't let the other team have the ball.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, we're still going to do it, but
we're still going to find a way.
But I mean, that'll work against every other football team, though. That's not Tennessee.
Absolutely.
All right, we all got W's on that one. Any spread for that?
Kentucky. It's a home game at night. I'm going to say.
Is this an opening spread or a final score spread?
What do you want?
Give me give me an opening spread. What's the line going to be before kickoff?
No, 8. I'm going to say 8.
7.5, 8, something like
7.5 to 8. Yeah.
Okay.
Throw the hook in there. 7.5.
Yeah, I like that as an opener spread, probably. Moving on to Mississippi State, who comes to town November 9th. It's a night game.
Another night game. That is a win for me.
We've got
it's
4 home games in a row right there.
This one is on. It's really nothing against Mississippi State. I just don't think they're that good.
New coach. It's just
It's just. Is it Levy?
I think so. Honestly, you kind of feel bad for him.
No.
Well, that's why I said I don't know a whole lot about him, and 2, I know they got a new coach and they're just struggling to try to make their way back, and with the unfortunate Michael Leach, and then that all kicked up, and they had a bunch of trouble. I mean, they've struggled for a few years.
So I think we've all got W's for that one.
Yeah, not much talk around them. So
no, not a whole lot to say.
Mm-hmm.
Then the unfortunate week 11, we travel to Between the Hedges.
I have this as a loss.
I have this as a loss as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think most any sane Tennessee fan would have this as a loss as well.
No, I'm not saying we get the brakes beat off. I think we're competitive this year in that game. I just don't think we win it.
See, I think we start competitive, but then it runs away from us.
Like every other year.
Yeah, I think at halftime we'll be like, man, this is a game.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna have some breaks go against you because it's at Georgia. You're just gonna have some things not go your way, as it always does when you play Georgia. Here in the past 4 seasons that they've been elite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that anytime you look at Georgia, you have the whole they're stacked 5-star, 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 5-star. It's like there's a continuing waiting list at each position with somebody that is just as good as the guy in front of them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Spread.
Stinks.
We got spread here.
I say we get beat. See, I'm opening spread. I think this is 14.
Opening spread at 14. Yeah,
I mean, they're going to mollywop everyone on their schedule. They have the easiest schedule I think I've ever laid eyes on. So the committee's going to say, holy cow, they beat everybody by 50. 14's not terrible here. They may beat them by more than that.
So on the off chance that we're all wrong and we end up going into this game undefeated, what do you think that spread's at?
Are they also undefeated?
Oh, yeah.
10.
Okay.
Like, I think they're just going to beat everybody they play no one. They're going to beat everybody that bad. It's going to look like they are the best college football team that's ever graced this planet.
Their week 1 game is what? Clemson, right? Or is it?
I'm
pretty sure it's Clemson, so I think that'll tell a lot. Clemson, obviously not Clemson of what we all know them as, but I mean, it's still going to be a pretty good test on a neutral site, I think, for them. So,
well, who's their toughest test, do you feel, before they get to us?
Yeah, it'd have to be Clemson.
I think they play Alabama in the regular season this year.
Let's see.
I could be wrong.
So here's Georgia's schedule. You ready?
I'm ready.
Week 1 they have Clemson. Week 2 is Tennessee Tech. Week 3 is Georgia or Kentucky. Wait,
did you say Tennessee Tech?
Tennessee Tech. Tennessee Tech.
The Golden Eagles.
Yeah. Auburn, Mississippi State, Texas. So they do play Texas, but now Texas is in the SEC, so that's just a standard. That's not a scheduled one-off. Florida, which normally a tough game, not going to be. Ole Miss, and then Tennessee, Massachusetts, and Georgia Tech.
So they don't play Alabama in the regular season?
I'm not seeing, not unless I'm overlooking it.
Okay.
I mean, so your toughest games, you got, your standard SEC games, Ole Miss, Texas, and Auburn, Florida. So, your non-cons, you scheduled Clemson, which looks good on paper, is not going to be okay on the field, and Tennessee Tech and UMass.
They do play Alabama at Alabama.
They do play Alabama at
September 28th.
I don't think that changes a thing.
They play Clemson in Atlanta, so it's basically a home game.
Yeah, that's another.
How do you consider that a neutral site?
Yeah, that's crazy. Kentucky at Kentucky. Alabama at Alabama.
I think they beat them by 3 touchdowns. Bama's going to be closer than that, but if Kalen DeBoer is not what everybody thinks he is, that could be Alabama could be detrimental.
They were smart to schedule them early in the season.
Yeah,
Kirby knew he was on his way out and thought, I'm scheduling them early.
They've got 4 teams that could potentially be playoff teams on their schedule. Clemson, if Clemson is decent, because the
Clemson
ACC
won't finish in the top 3 of the ACC.
I think they finished 3 exactly. I think it's where they finish. So you got Clemson, who could potentially be one. Alabama, who could potentially be one. I don't think they will, but they could be. Texas, who probably will be one, given we said 4, maybe 5 SEC schools get in. And Ole Miss, who could potentially be one. And Tennessee, who's got we've got a shot at being one as well. I've seen a lot of people pick Tennessee to be one.
I don't know. I redact my statement then. I don't know where I seen Georgia have the easiest schedule coming and going then. That's not a very easy schedule. They deserve every ounce of respect that they will get this season then. That's a tough schedule.
Yeah, is Georgia Tech's quarterback back this year? Haynes King? Or did he go?
I think he is running it back this year.
If he's running it back, I think that is they play that one on neutral site.
I don't do that.
I mean, it might. No, this one's at Georgia.
So it's like Georgia Tech is flip flop, but the Florida is
It's always in Jacksonville.
Whatever,
Yeah.
yeah. It's stupid too.
So they'll probably beat Georgia Tech by 100, but
Yeah.
I mean, you never know with a pretty good quarterback.
Depends on what the weapons look like. Carson Beck is a really good quarterback. He's not a.
I disagree. He's a game manager. He's your AJ McCarron, Greg McElroy. I think that's who he is.
Yeah.
He's not going to have a solidified NFL career. He's not. I mean, he's going to have an NFL career. He's not going to be a guy that just goes out there and gets a starting job and has a good long career as a starter in the NFL. He's just not going to be. I see him as a perennial backup in the NFL like an AJ McCarron.
He's going to be one of those that somebody's going to spend a stupid draft pick on because of his name and probably the 14 national championships they'll win between now and then.
Yep.
All right, I'm done talking about them.
Me too. We're done. UTEP at home, November 23rd.
That's a win.
Win.
Hopefully by 100.
And then, do we have to travel to Vanderbilt? I mean, we do travel to Vanderbilt, but isn't that just like a?
It's Neyland West.
Yeah, it's like it's a home game.
Have they completed their construction yet?
Who knows?
I mean, I feel like that's been dragging on for years.
I feel like they went to the gas station right around the corner and just said, "Hey, does anybody need to work? We need a stadium built."
Yeah.
And that's why it's taking this long because there's like 5 people working on it.
We need
Anybody know how to operate a crane? We need our scoreboard held up.
Oh my god,
that was awful.
Oh, so I went back and was watching that Vanderbilt game, and do you guys? I didn't remember it until I was watching this. Do you guys remember the brawl during the game?
Mm-hmm.
Like an all-out brawl.
I remember it got chippy, but I can't remember.
Oh no, it was a brawl. Benches cleared.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I didn't either until I went back and watched it. I was like, oh.
Is it because we were beating them by 1,000?
So here's how it started. They hike the ball. Quarterback drops back. Whistle is blown.
No, I do remember this. Did we not clobber him?
Tyler Barron didn't hear it or didn't care and just smoked him.
I do remember that play, yes.
Smoked him. And that's where it started. They did that. They kind of got in each other's faces for, I don't know, a minute, if that. They got it settled, whatever. No penalties. Coach was flabbergasted. They started back over on that play again, and then he gets sacked the very next play. Well, then it all goes haywire.
Goes bonkers.
All I've got to say is I hope we checker Vandy because I could care less about them as a program.
That'd be awesome.
I hope that entire college erupts.
Little brother would never be able to keep up.
Honestly, you know how we've got UT Chattanooga, UT Martin? This needs to be UT Central.
Well.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and say you count this as a win.
Yes, I mean there's no question. It's
double win probably.
The spread is 60 at least.
The opening spread.
We
will win by more.
And I'm taking the spread all day, every day.
Every day.
Putting the mortgage on the spread.
That's right. Ain't getting by with none of that. So that puts us at.
It puts you guys both at what, 10-2.
Yeah.
And that puts my projections game by game at 11-1. But like I said, I do think we lose one that we're not supposed to. Not named Alabama.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just got a weird feeling Georgia's gonna be really good.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't call it a weird feeling because I think everyone has that same feeling. Is it weird if everybody does it? Basically.
No, but I guess I'm confused on the schedule. I don't know where I was looking at that schedule. I was like, what is this? This is like Cupcake of Cupcake Central, but it is not.
They've got a tough one. But I do think they handle that schedule. I think they finish 12-0, then they win the SEC at 13-0, then they get the first round bye, then they win that one, make them 14-0, and then they win the Natty at 15-0. They're gonna have a perfect season.
Barring no injuries, yeah. I mean, that's not.
They've got a lot to prove.
Unfortunately, yeah.
They didn't win it all last year.
Yeah, they're torqued up still about that. I assume.
Yep.
So, well, what we got on the so the 24 to 25 college football playoff bracket is as followed. Friday, December 20th and Saturday, December 21st is your first round. 1, 2, 3, and 4 do not play. Your host
that'll
will be
5 versus
5,
12.
8, 6, and 7.
Yep.
The second round will be your quarterfinals. That is Tuesday, December 31st through Wednesday, January 1st. Then the next round is your semis. That's Thursday, January 9 and Friday, January 10. And then the national championship played in Atlanta is going to be Monday, January 20th. So if Georgia makes it all the way like you think, that will also be another home game for them.
Yep, it will. So who do you go? Who's your all's dark horse to make it to the playoff? Who's somebody you're going to be like, I see him going, but everyone
Out
else,
of the SEC?
no, just the country
In general,
in general.
I see. See, I've got more that I don't think will make it than I think will make it that people have projected. Like, I know ACC because you have Clemson and all these other schools. Eventually, the way things work, if you pick more from the conference, some of these are going to have to make it. Unless something crazy is happening, I don't see why are people so high on Miami?
I'm high on Miami. I think they're your ACC winner.
I think Mario Cristobal is a terrible coach. I think he's not been able to ever get it done anywhere he's ever been.
So if we're talking about the ACC, here are your regular season win totals projected: Clemson at 9.5, Florida State at 9.5, Miami also at 9.5. Then
That's number 2.
And then it drops off to Louisville and NC State, both at 8.5. So projected to win that conference, Clemson, Florida State, and Miami all have equal odds.
That's number 2. I think Florida State won't sniff it.
I'm going with Florida State.
I don't know. I mean, unless it works out to where these conferences cannibalize each other, you're not getting all 3 of them in.
So no. Not all 3. No, I think 2 at max. Obviously 1 guaranteed. But
right.
Something we talked about Florida State last week, Alex. You know who their quarterback is this year? Because I was asking the question, is their quarterback from last year there? And dummy me didn't do his research. It's DJ Uyunglele is their quarterback this year.
Garbage.
I mean, he's not been great in his history of the ACC. So
I just don't see it. I don't know. Maybe I'm too high on the SEC. I'm just thinking you got Ole Miss at 6, Texas and Oklahoma now both come in, Georgia, Bama, Tennessee. I'm thinking you could stack 8, 9 teams in that playoff and bump everybody else, and I don't think the country would even be mad. That's good football.
I mean, it's true.
You take an underrated Florida State and an or overrated, however you want to say it, Miami and Florida State. That may be a good game, but you throw them in there with the big dogs, and they're going to be. I mean, it's going to be another TCU situation. When Miami lines up against Georgia, they will be embarrassed.
Do you think there is a quote unquote Power 2 now instead of a Power 4 conference?
The SEC.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what it's all going to eventually be, anyway. I think.
Yeah,
there are going to be 2 super conferences.
Yeah,
and that's what I was saying earlier. Like I think it's guaranteed almost every year you'll have four SEC teams and 4 Big Ten teams.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, that would make life on the committee a whole lot easier if you just said, you know what, 12 teams, 6 come from this side, 6 come from this side,
so you're
at that point you're the NFL.
You've publicly stated now that you think Clemson, Florida State, and Miami, none of them make it. Which one from the ACC goes then?
Whichever the conference winner is. I don't know what their out of conference looks like. I could see each one of them winning 9 games or less.
You got NC State, Louisville, North Carolina.
North Carolina is maybe not as good as they were last year. They lost Drake May, but they're not going to fall off the face of the earth.
So I've seen some people picking Virginia Tech to have a shot to make it in.
Whoa,
to the playoffs?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've seen that from some.
Yeah, if North Carolina doesn't fall completely off, if Virginia Tech has a shot, coupled with Wake Forest, NC State, no, there's no shot. No. They'll be lucky if they get 9 wins.
So if you have to pick one ACC school, who are you picking right now?
From what I've read, NC State.
Okay.
From what I've read, that's why I'm nervous about that game more than I am Florida at this point.
So NC State has the 5th best odds, but I could see him winning it. It would not surprise me at all.
It's one of those.
I'm picking Miami there.
it's definitely an under or not a popular pick, but it's also, I mean, you get a game or two to roll your way, they could very easily find themselves at least in the ACC championship game.
I'm picking Miami, and I'm picking them to be my 3 seed.
I will never, ever, ever cheer or root for Miami again after they had me all hyped up for that North Carolina game, and old man put it on them. Bend them over and give them an old man spanking.
Yeah, true.
Mario can take his Miami self back to Oregon or wherever it is he wants to go. He is not a good coach. I'm telling it now. Put that on public record. Mario Cristobal is not a good coach.
All right, Bryce, do you have an ACC school you're picking?
I think I'm going to stick with Florida State. If he can figure out his crap of how to play in an ACC, they'll run the league.
Okay. All right.
I think there's enough weapons there.
Let's switch gears to the Big 12 now. So
do they have to send one?
Yeah, I'm high on Utah.
Yeah, it's a pretty good team.
Cam Rising, old man. He's like, what, 35 now?
Probably, yeah. Probably.
Yeah, I've got Utah winning it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
All
I mean,
right.
who else do they have now that Texas and Oklahoma's left? They have Texas Tech,
Kansas State, Oklahoma
Baylor,
State.
Kansas State, Oklahoma State.
Kansas, Arizona, West Virginia now, Iowa State, TCU, Texas Tech. So we're all unanimous with the Utah pick.
Yeah, I'm sticking.
You think a second Big 12 team gets in?
No chance.
I don't think so either.
Not with the talent that the ACC and AC or Big Ten are going to have.
Okay. All right, Big 10. Ohio State's projected to be the number 1.
I guess my pick.
It's not my pick. My pick is Oregon to beat them.
That's who I'm going with.
I forgot Oregon's now in.
Oregon.
Yep.
Hold on. God, that is the dumbest thing they could have done. Why are you flying across the country to play football?
The reason I'm picking Oregon is because Ryan Day has shown time and time again he can't get the big one done.
No,
I forgot and Oregon and the big UCLA,
Penn State, Michigan, USC. He's shown time and time again he can't get the big one done, and unfortunately for him, the big one this year is not Michigan. The big one for him is Oregon. So I think Oregon gets it done. I do think Ohio State gets in.
Yeah, they'll get in the playoff probably. Yes, I'm switching mine to Oregon. Oregon will beat Ohio State.
And Penn State is the third team in the Big Ten. Because right now, the way we've all talked about it, we've got one ACC school getting in. We have one Big 12 school getting in. How many?
So give me 2 from the ACC, because I'm sure one of you all are better or more right than I am. There's no way that they're only going to send one if Florida State and Miami have comparable seasons. They will send one.
I'm saying Miami gets in and no other ACC school gets in.
Okay.
Miami, Utah.
So there's 2.
And I think Ohio State and Oregon both get in. Oregon's your
4.
Your bye. They get the first round bye.
Now your 5 is your group of 5 champion. So you have 7 spots left.
We haven't talked about the SEC yet.
Fair enough.
Let's get to the SEC before we start talking about the at-large bids.
Fair enough. Georgia.
Yeah.
Yes. Alabama.
Alabama will make it.
Are you that high on Alabama? You think Alabama gets in?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they do. Yeah, I do. Honestly,
here's my follow up to that. I don't think it's because of coaching. I think it's just because they still have a really, really, really talented football team.
Yes.
What about Texas? Yes. Do you think Texas gets in this year?
I do.
I think Texas, yes, very, very easily could make it in. I think it depends on how healthy they are. So they have a lot of very thin positions.
So they're also starting running back for this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Already, them and Texas.
Week 2, they travel to Michigan.
That's going to be a tough game just because of where it's at, and
they play Georgia.
It's a big stadium.
And then they finish the year at Texas A&M. I think
so they could have 4 losses.
Those are 3.
Or you say
that they could lose, and they play Oklahoma in Dallas like that is every year. So I could very well see them not making it with 4 losses.
Certainly not out of the question. I agree. I tell you what. Give me we ain't talked about it yet. Go ahead. I was going to say if I had to pick another, if flip flopping teams, I would take Ole Miss over Texas.
I'm
to
taking
make it
Ole Miss
in
over
easily,
Texas
all day.
So if we are all correct on Tennessee's being 10-2, a 10-2 SEC team makes it to the playoff. Tennessee will make it to the playoff if they go 10-2. So are we penciling Tennessee in as a playoff team?
The way I have my predictions laid out, I would say Tennessee squeaks into the playoff. I have them around 12 to 13.
Okay.
Yes. What are you thinking about?
You thinking hard.
Yeah.
I seen that striking
Yeah.
look.
You have Tennessee where?
Probably 12, 13, somewhere around in there.
Like ranked
No.
in the country?
No,
That was the look I gave you.
Yeah.
So probably top 10?
Probably would say, well,
around 10 or 11?
Yeah.
That would be sneaking in the back door of a playoff.
I think Big Ten and SEC is going to shove enough talent up in there. It's probably going to take that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we've got Georgia, Bama, Ole Miss, Tennessee. What about you've got LSU, who's picked ahead of you right now?
Oklahoma, where are they projected to finish?
I think Oklahoma finishes behind Tennessee.
I do too.
I think the only way 9-3 gets in is if Big Ten schools also go 9-3. Big Ten's going to have to beat up on themselves as well.
You think the Big Ten's of course, that's where I automatically said Ohio State. I forgot about Oregon coming in, but how big of a step back you think Michigan's taking this year?
Big.
Or do
Yeah.
they? You think it's a big one?
Yeah.
I think it is a huge
Okay.
loss.
So, which I said makes it, Ohio State's for the taking, but I forgot about Oregon coming over. So that's I do like them more in that position.
Okay, so hear me out. Hear me out. Instead of Penn State being the third team to make it in, I have a curveball for you, and you're gonna laugh. I think Iowa makes it in at 10-2.
What?
Here's why. Here's why.
No.
Let me go through their schedule for you. Think about how good their defense is, and think about last year they did not have their starting quarterback almost all year long. And what they finished regular season last year? 10-2?
10-2.
All right, so hear me out. Illinois State.
That's a win.
Iowa State.
Probably a win.
Troy.
Win.
Minnesota.
Win.
Ohio State.
Loss.
Washington.
Loss.
Washington's awful this year. They lost everybody.
I still think they lose.
Okay.
I think Iowa's not a good team.
Michigan State.
Possibly loss.
They're terrible too, man. Northwestern.
Should win that one.
Win.
Wisconsin.
Could be a toss-up.
It's a home game for Iowa.
I'll give them the win for the home.
UCLA.
Best should win that one.
Yeah.
Maryland.
I don't know. They were all over them. I mean, they played every Big Ten team close last year. Ohio State, Michigan, they just couldn't win.
Yeah. And
I don't know.
Nebraska to finish the year out.
They should beat Nebraska.
So I could see them definitely going 10-2. They're going to be favored as a team in at least 10 of those games.
Probably.
The only team
Ohio
State's going to beat them. But historically we look at Ohio State playing other Big Ten schools. They never smoke. They never destroy them. We're looking at them like, man, Ohio State's so
but somebody else that no one else is talking about that has been a decent little player in the last 5 years is Wisconsin. Wisconsin has been top 25 consistently over the last few years, I believe.
So Wisconsin this year is sitting
Where do they have them projected to finish in the Big Ten?
number 9.
Hmm.
Your top schools right now are, of course, it just froze. Off the top of my head, it was Ohio State. Then it was Oregon. 3 was, I want to say it was Michigan, but I don't see Michigan. No, 3 was Penn State. 4 was Michigan. 5 was USC. And 6 was Iowa. I don't see USC doing it because Miller Moss is not him. and they don't.
They're always overrated.
And they don't have the defense infrastructure that Iowa does. I think Iowa's defense is going to be as good as they were last year with an improved offense.
I truly feel the committee is going to have a tough decision.
It's going to be tough. But a 10-2 Iowa versus a 9-3 Penn State, yeah. But I'm getting at a different conference. Let's say a 10-2 Iowa versus a 9-3 LSU.
LSU beats them both.
Yeah, I agree. We know who's going to win that game.
Right.
But the committee is going to say Iowa gets in at 10-2. I can promise you
over LSU.
Yeah, I can promise you that. A 9-3,
zero chance it happens.
A 9-3 LSU and a 10-2 Iowa gets in.
Oh well, yeah, 9-3. Yes, I start to say if record's even, there's zero chance that happens.
No. If record's even, LSU gets in. But I don't see.
I don't. They're not going to jump them for sure.
I think a 10-2 SEC school gets in no matter what. I don't care who it is or what they've played. If you're 10-2 and you're in the SEC, you're in. Everybody else will
they were letting in one-loss teams with a 4-team playoff.
Yeah.
So. I wouldn't disagree with that.
That's my sleeper.
If they're 10-2, they will. Here's my thing with Iowa. You can't talk to me about how good you are when I put it on you like I did. Don't give me that. Your defense, what? Nico, that was his first. No, big, get out of here. No, you can't.
That wasn't just a curveball. That was a 12-6 curveball.
Yeah. Nico went put through your head on the curb and stomped.
I think that's just a proponent of how good Nico is, though.
I hope so. If that's the case, we're in for some fun football.
Listen, let me break it down to you. I'm shifting the focus off this college football playoff back to some Tennessee talk. For y'all that are still here listening, an hour and 6 minutes in, I appreciate you. So here's my take. There is no question whether Nico is going to be the man for the job or whether he can get it done. He can and he will. The question is the guys around him. We have the talent on offense. Can the O-line protect him? Can the running back depth keep Dylan Sampson healthy? I guess not healthy, but keep him fresh. Yeah, that's the word. Fresh. And can your defense give your offense a chance to be in football games? That's what it's going to boil down to. I think your D-line can. Your linebackers, as long as Peely and Arion Carter are healthy, they can. Your DBs are a little bit of a question mark, but I've heard some guys watch fall camp that say, man, this group's talented. They're just young.
I'm very happy with the ones.
Yeah,
the ones are as good as ones can get.
I think across the board, your ones on this team, you're starting 22. Your ones across the board are short of Georgia and Ohio State and maybe Alabama.
Just as good as
anybody in the country. I think your ones across the board at those other schools, your elite schools, are
they could walk on.
Better.
Our ones could walk onto any campus and compete for the starting job.
I agree. Yes.
Anywhere in the country.
I agree. So that's where I see it. I don't even remember what we were talking about before that. I apologize. I just had to go.
It was Iowa and how good Nico could be.
Yeah, okay. I had to go off on that tangent. I knew I wanted to talk about it. That's just how I feel about it. I think
I'm with it.
I think as long as we're to go 11-1, we're gonna have some things bounce our way. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You can't go 11-1 without having luck involved. It's just not gonna happen. Then
with our schedule, I agree. And ours is not like unbearable, but it's a tough it's a tough schedule.
But that way of thinking even goes for Georgia. Georgia's not going to go perfect 15-0 unless they have some things bounce their way. You just can't. You even with that head and shoulders talent above everybody else, you just can't. You're not going to have a perfect season unless you have some things bounce your way. It's just not going to happen.
That's for any team in the country. I mean, it's just nice to know that you have the talent, the coaching, the staff, and the bounces also go your way, seemingly all the time.
Hey, and every time. And the money's talking for NIL right now. Man, things are good on Rocky Top. We've had countless recruits here in the past 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Things are on the up and up, man. It's
up and up.
It's exciting to watch. exciting to listen to. I'm along for the ride. I'm so happy.
We're in it. We are in it, baby.
buckling my seatbelt, lower the latches.
Let's do it.
Cinch it down. All right, fellas. I think that's about it, right?
I think so. Has anybody else got
Time
anything?
to. I think I'm good. Bryce, you got anything to close with?
Nope.
We're a little
All right.
long-winded today, but
A little long-winded.
Well, you throw that third person in there, and
Yeah. Well,
There we go.
hey, we'll stop.
It'd be all right.
We've been long-winded like a Baptist preacher. Go get your fried chicken, baby.
well,
Time to go home. Cool. So we'll do it again next week. Next week we are officially previewing
That's
for
week
week one.
You know
That is
something
week one.
you know something we didn't do, and maybe we just save it because we're not really running out of time because none of us got anywhere to be, but we didn't make some picks for week 0. I mean,
Yeah.
there is only one good game worthy of watching. That's Florida State and Georgia Tech. So,
Hey, look here.
we can pick
I'll
that
get
one
my
if you
shot
want.
to see what they're going to be.
Yeah,
this
that's
weekend.
true. That's true. We'll see a lot about DJU this week.
You may hear me next week with some different predictions about Florida State.
It is against Georgia Tech, so we'll see.
It is against Georgia Tech. All right. Anybody got anything else to add?
I'm good.
Cool. Here we go, boys. See you next week. Appreciate y'all listening.
Appreciate it.